how to navigate spiritual stagnation with the insights of the runes. So what do we mean with spiritual stagnation and how does that may look like? For me, the last couple of months has been feeling very heavy, feeling somewhat burnt out, drained, being in a very low emotional mood. I finished up a contract, an employment contract, and then eventually I got stuck at home. Now you could say, fantastic, great, this is the perfect moment for creativity. But even doing any kind of creative works or anything like that, eventually it started to feel very heavy. Heavy in the sense of, do I still get energy out of this? It is kind of like moving through a block, moving through shadow work, another dark night of the soul, you might speak, and we hit simply a wall. We wonder why putting an alarm clock in the morning if nothing that I do simply really matters. What if you continue to have a salary paid out for a couple of months and you have a moment where you don't have to do anything at all? What is it that is coming to the light? So before I move any further, let's explore the runes that I got within this kind of divination ritual that I did, which works of course as an example. It can work as an example of my own practice, and it's the kind of practice that I also like to share for those who are open to look further in their own spiritual journey and soul's calling. So the whole purpose of this is of course a deeper emotional healing. This is also kind of for those who can see that they are living outside the norm, who are already somewhat realizing, the matrix that I'm living in, I do not really longer want to be part of that. Nothing that I have to do within this old system is resonating with me, but we are still somewhat here in between. We are moving into a new kind of upgraded way of life, of authenticity, living more from heart-based consciousness, bringing more the essence of our own soul calling, of really what it is that we are meant to do here. And for those who are already been on this path, who have already been through a process of awakening and initiation, maybe you can already see this is part of my own shamanic initiation. Especially for us as Europeans or Westerns, there's so much going on here. Of course in Europe the energy is very dense, very heavy. It's like there's like an evil spirit covered around the atmosphere and in the energy of Europe, especially countries like Netherlands, UK, and maybe also other European countries as well. I don't want to go into the details of the political things that we are seeing in the movement within the social system. But there is a bigger duality going on, a bigger duality. Some people say, you know what, everything is okay. Everything is comfortable, convenient, I trust the old paradigm. And then there are those, wait a minute, I don't trust the old paradigm. Something is going on. I must look further and beyond the veil and move to a state of sovereignty, authenticity, love, compassion, and really do what you feel called to do. Not what the old system expects you to do, but what you truly feel called to do. Balancing and bringing in harmony between the masculine and the feminine. But anyway, there we are. Last month of December, last month of the year, 2025. 2025 has been a very intense year. For me, it was a year of conflict, intensity. It's also, of course, the year where I attracted another soulmate in my life. Being a very intense mirror for each other. Another process of awakening and initiation. That really brings up a lot of old emotional things from my past, from my childhood. And maybe we can already see, and we are already identified with the concept of the cycle breaker, the system breaker. The cycle breaker is really looking at the old patterns from our upbringers, our parents, grandparents, great grandparents, and so forth. Looking at all the things that has been passed over from our ancestors. And there we are here to break the cycle. So we are going through much deeper spiritual and emotional healing journeys. But anyway, we're here talking about spiritual stagnation. Feeling drained, exhausted, burned out, maybe feelings of apathy, depression, or maybe feeling like we have lots of stuck and stagnated, suppressed emotions within us. So if we then go through in reading, we go through divination to really see what's happening, we can maybe draw the 4 runes of a reversed Thurisaz. Normally a Thurisaz is about divine protection, but a reversed one is more like the thorn, that is like we are agonized with something, you know, our dark energies, emotions like anger, aggression, violence, we are turning it inwards of lots of suppressed emotions, and we can't really express ourselves in an authentic way of how we really feel, of what's going on. We have big buckets that we can fill up with emotions, and then someone sending us a lot of triggers, more triggers, and boom, we explode. Everything that we turn inwards, we explode in violence, aggression, in anger. And this has been playing a big part for me this year, especially. First with my employer, of course also with the beautiful soulmate that I attracted in my life. She has a very, very, you know, kind of warrior kind of energy, Scorpio energy. That's lovely, beautiful, but also major triggers that is caused. So for me, this is also a year of what are my boundaries. This is really what we must learn here. Then I got a second rune, Berkana. Berkana is, you know, like, hey, especially for myself, you know, when I look to my whole masculine ancestral lineage, so much things has been passed over, the anger, the aggression, the violence, the domination, the manipulation. All of that has been passed over. Very, very clear lineage that I have. But in terms of my mother lineage, the feminine energy, massive mystery for me. Very, very difficult. It's also a part that I felt disconnected with from a very young age, as I felt as a sensitive old soul that growing up with my mother felt very unsafe. Why? Because she felt very unsafe in her marriage and relationship, and I picked this one up. So the Berkana is about rebirth, connecting with the earth, connecting with the nurturing feminine energy that we so much need, you know, of emotional balance, harmony. But this is also the process of rebirth, really. This is one of the most important ones. The Berkana is like the birch tree. So this is kind of like the medicine rune that we need so much right now, especially when we are healing the masculine wounds of aggression and misused power that we are using somewhat against ourselves and each other. But we're not quite there yet, because the next rune that I got within this reading is the Perthro reversed. This is all about the hidden mysteries, the unseen truth. This can really relate to, you know, a lot of things still needs to be revealed for us. Hidden truth, the unseen realities, the influences, perhaps a lot of things still, you know, within our own unconscious, subconscious minds that has yet to be revealed. And maybe right now is not the time to make massive changes or actions. This is the part where we must maybe go into a hermit mode to allow ourselves and to surrender to this emotional healing journey. And that's why we can feel maybe a little bit stuck and stagnated, but this is maybe the time for us that our soul really need right now. The Perthro reversed, also really about blocked intuition or blocked emotions, suppressed emotions that we can't really seem to reach. So it's also about facing these unseen truths and hidden emotions that are still somewhat here to be uncovered. And if we don't do this right now, then the upcoming year will be even more intense than it already was, because everything that is still unresolved will really come out like a balloon of air that we have been holding onto the water, and the next year it will pop to the surface, and even more in a more aggressive way. And then the last rune that I got is the Isa.
In the stillness of ice, the world forgets its noise, and a man remembers who he is.
The Isa, of course, you know, it's the winter. It's the time of winter where we're standing still. We are somewhat frozen in our time. It forces us to be still. You know, this is the winter, the time of the winter for our soul, for self-reflection, is to really to dive deeper within ourselves, what is really going on. And for sure, this is can causing somewhat frustration if you don't allow it and surrender to it. The frustration of feeling, oh, I do so many things, but everything that I do feels exhausted, draining. Then no matter what you do, and this is what you feel, it is a sign that you're here to stand still. So the Isa, it really asks you to stand still, to have a pause, to relax, so you can reflect, and through self-reflection you can grow. It also prevents you from misaligned action, making the wrong kind of decisions that is later, you know, causing more stress, more anxiety, more frustration, or even more feelings of exhaustion and burnout. So this is for us to really to dive more inward. Now you could say, all right, great, I'm giving up, I'm throwing everything in the water, I'm going to watch Netflix, play video games all day long, and I will wait until this emotional storm is over. But the truth is, see how that works for you. If that energizes you, or is that going to make you feel more misaligned, more exhausted, more drained? Especially when you're in your minds like, hi, I've got so many things to do, but nothing is working right now, so I give up. I go and just indulge in lots of entertainment. And here's the thing, I think for us as sensitive old souls, as empaths, as spiritual warriors here on this healing journey of rediscovering ourselves, going through this transformation of identity shifts, this is also of course the process of really seeking out, okay, what can we do for our own self-care, to nurture ourselves, our mind, our soul, our body. Because of course when the mind and the spirit is shifting, it also requires a lot of intensity of the body as well. So what can we do in terms of diet, of nutrition, maybe supplementation, exercise, movements, you know, waking up with maybe some hot shower, then cold shower for 30 seconds, maybe start with meditation, with movements, with warrior poses like what we have in the Berserker Awakening workshop. So these things can really help us to release this emotional tension that is stored in the body. So to really sum it up, of course what I can do, if you want, I will create like a PDF where you can read everything to go through this, like, hey, okay, if we have like a reading like this, you know, what can we do, what action steps to take, what is the best advice, like what solutions if we have this kind of readings. But really to sum it up, the Thurisaz reversed is a sign that we are still having old wounds that are coming to the surface. If we don't pay attention to that, it will be turned inwards, working against us. Then we have the Berkana, emotional resets and rebirth. This is the whole sign of connecting more with a feminine, nurturing, caring energy, connecting with the earth, with Gaia, the spiritual embodiment of the earth itself. That can help us, to guide us and support us, that can give us the support, the guidance to go through this rebirth kind of process, this identity shift. Then we had Perthro reversed, which is a sign of still having lots of hidden truths and hidden emotions stored within us that are slowly coming to the surface that we need to pay attention to. And then the Isa is the invitation for stillness. For stillness, so we can allow to work through these things and pay more attention to our spiritual nourishments that can feed our body, mind, soul and spirit. So if you want a more personalized reading, then you know what to do. I will drop a couple of links down below, and if this kind of reading resonates with you, this process, then yeah, let me know. Simply drop a comment below. You know, my apologies. I also go through a lot of my own shadows that I'm working through. That's why I can share and teach for my own scars basically that I'm also healing myself. It's not really just information that I read in the books and that I'm all there and made it all the way through. I am going through this myself. I'm constantly peeling new kind of layers, and that's what I can share from experience, from wisdom, and not just intellectual knowledge gathered from the sources or whatever. The source is what we have in here. Anyway, hope this was helpful, and I look forward to connect with you very, very soon. All right, take care for now. Bye-bye.